Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to bring to you Karen, a Master IEP Coach who has a wealth of experience in our special education community. And she's going to share a bit about her story and lean in and listen, because there's going to be a lot of you that relate to where she's been, what she does now, and really what she's working towards in the special education community. So Karen, thank you for being here today.
I'm so happy to be here, Catherine. Thank you for having me.
So will you just jump right in and please tell everybody just a little bit about your background and how you ended up here in the special education community and deciding to be a Master IEP Coach?
I would love to. So where I am right now, I'm very passionate about, and it started from the beginning as a mom, and I have currently 4 children, but my last one was the one that has inspired me to move throughout this journey to become who I am today, for sure. He was diagnosed with ADHD, dyslexia, anxiety, and of course, just like the rest of you, when you have a child diagnosed with things that you don't understand, you need to find out what they are so that you can help your child. So that's kind of started the role, and I started trying to find out, and I went to CHAD, Children and Adults with ADD, the nonprofit organization. It's been around a very long time. And through that organization, I started to learn about ADHD, and I started to learn about what I could do not only for my child, but for my community. So I did a lot of volunteer work as a parent-to-parent instructor, both in my community as well as online, teaching parents about ADHD. My niche is very narrow because it is that ADHD, and it's also a very difficult niche in some respects because although we've come a long ways, so many people don't understand it and they can't see it. You know, a child with ADHD looks, whatever normal is, right? Looks so-called normal. And a lot of times the impact of ADHD is behavior, and it is always thought that behavior can be controlled. And yes, it can, but many times with ADHD, there needs to be external support throughout time for that to happen. So that started my journey. You know, I was doing all of that stuff, and plus I was supporting my son in school, and he has combined, he's 23, by the way, right now. He has combined ADHD, which means that he has the hyperactive, impulsive, also inattentive type of ADHD combined with a learning difference. Very, very difficult combinations of both of them. And so throughout that journey of advocacy, I discovered that a lot of people didn't understand. You can understand a learning difference sometimes better than you can understand how ADHD is impacting that learning difference. And so I was actually asked throughout this time if I was a coach, and I thought, no. But I was, advocating for him, and I was teaching for Chad. So I decided, well, I should become a coach. So I did. I took 2 different programs and became an ADHD coach 5 years ago, and you have to, follow through with continuing ed. But although there is not a specific legal recommendation or a requirement to become certified, I am a board certified ADHD coach. So again, I was supporting my son and helping those in the community, and started a business in 2012, started a website, and that has still been growing, ongoing with content and with a business Facebook page where the need is extremely great. And I still deal with a lot of clients who have lots of trouble. And I think what happened with me, which kind of led me to Catherine, was that as a coach, you can't do a complete job unless you know that your child has been supported in school. And that's one of my aha moments. And so when that happened, I thought, oh, well, I should really be combining both coaching and school advocacy. So that's what I did. I started to see more people coming to me for the need for support in school, quite honestly, than the need for coaching. Or if the coaching started to come up, my question regarding coaching would be, well, first of all, let's talk about what's happening in school. And then I would discover that there were some things that were lacking for that child to be successful.
So I'm just going to jump in here and share with everyone. I hope that they heard. So this is where I said, lean in here. Like, she has a very specific niche. You have a very specific ideal family really that you work with. And that is so important in our special needs community. We have over 6 million kids in special education. So one, there's never going to be too many Master IEP coaches or ADHD coaches, or there's never going to be enough for that. And the more specific you can get with who you want to help, the better you can help them. So you had this life experience, you went and you got the professional experience, and you're just kind of layering on and building this coaching practice. And I hear this a lot with that word coach is very abstract, kind of like, ADHD, very abstract. Like, what do you do? What does it look like? What's going on? But school is tangible. These are tangible things that are missing from an education. You know the difference on a report card between an A and an F, right? That is tangible. You know the difference between a child who does his work and doesn't do his work. So it helps that, kind of see what those deficits are. And I love that you looked to fill that gap, because that a lot of people don't even know about maybe a underlying medical diagnosis. They're only seeing the school part of what's happening. So, okay. So you said, okay, I need to take care of the school side of things in combination with the other things. And I'm going to assume that maybe you were scrolling on Facebook or Googling. I'm not sure how we found each other, Karen. We've known each other for a while now, but
I know. I think I found you on Facebook.
Okay.
That's what happened. Yeah.
I know where my home is at.
Yeah. Well, you're there all the time. And I think, also that other gap that I bridged was, my focus was, and you often talk about advocacy and that negative connotation in the schools, which there are. I always, even before I met you, kind of shuddered at, you're bringing an advocate, that kind of feel. And I've always tried my best, definitely not to be adversarial. There is a component there's a component, I'm sure, in every type of IEP meeting that could get there. But in my situation, I see it all the time. Like, there's some good school districts and others who just do not want to support these kids with ADHD, and sometimes can be, or that there's not enough information for the parent to ask for to, bridge the gap where there's not the support needed for that child. So a lot of times, yes, I've had to go to the law to talk about, what this child needs. It's been important, for, FBAs, which are huge deals regarding the behavioral piece that, I currently have a client now, and it's pretty much a nightmare. And the fact that no one has ever suggested that she should receive an FBA, but that the child should be moved out of the school because they can't handle that child. Can you imagine a child diagnosed with ADHD? This is not a criminal. This is not a child with conduct disorder. This is a child with ADHD medically diagnosed with behaviors that are related to the disability that need to be dealt with. And so I do have to speak like that. But the bridge to you was important because, my background is not a teacher, right? So my bridge to you was the other look at being a Master IEP coach, and that is actually dealing with the important goals that need to be developed for, life skills and beyond, and the importance of parent input in the IEP. And so it's a constant reinforcement of a parent who needs to know that they are he or she is part, and both are part of the team, and that, it reinforces the fact that the IEPs are so individual and that they need to be based on data, all the time data. And so all of the things that I have learned and or been reinforced with throughout your program have helped me talk to parents who are scared and don't want to rock a boat, don't want to make anybody mad. And, I can talk about not just the fact that you are part of the team, even though parents sometimes don't feel that way because it's so adversarial, but no, you have input into it. It's called parental input. You have the input to put in that IEP. You can make a difference, and you can make a difference without getting angry.
So For those of you that don't know, Karen just gave you guys a sneak peek into the curriculum, which I love. That's why she's here. That's why she's here, because I love to really dig into what each coach kind of has pulled out of the program, because it really is a customizable type program. I mean, you can dig in where you need to and really get the information for your families, for your clients that you want to work with. And you're like parent input, and it doesn't have to be adversarial. And that's a piece that's missing from the IEP so many times, and parents don't know about it. And then you said data, and you said prioritizing IEP goals. And that's really, we cover all of that in depth. Each of those topics is a week. And by week, that means, it's not overwhelming in the way where you have to like give up your day job to, immerse yourself in the program. You can learn at your own pace, and you can pick out what you need most for that week. But knowing how to help a parent have a voice and focus and prioritize and get the data to make decisions. Yes, we're never saying that somebody's wrong in their recommendation, but we're often saying, where's the data to support that decision?
Yes.
So I won't call you out as wrong, but I am going to challenge you to bring the information that brought you to that decision. And with specifically the families that you're working with, Karen, that's so important, because decisions are being made left and right because teachers are struggling in the classroom, the students are struggling in the classroom, and it's like, well, we'll just try this, and how about we try this, and let's go move this, and it's like constantly reacting to the situation. But if you can get that data, which is where your focus is at there, so many good decisions can be made. So you've been with us for a while. You took the mentorship, and then you took that next step, which for those of you that don't know, that's called the Master IEP Coach Network. So what happens is when you take the mentorship and you decide I'm all in, that you're like Karen, you're like, you know what, I am all in helping families. You can come into the network with other Master IEP coaches who are all in, who have their individual practices, who are reaching out to their ideal families, who are speaking and training and coaching and helping in their community. It's become their career. Whether it's part-time, full-time, weekends, whatever it is, it's become their focus to do that. So you've been in the network. Can you just share a little bit about your experience, maybe some aha moments as you were going through the mentorship or wrapping up the mentorship, transitioning into the network, just kind of that piece. So you're like, we know why you took the leap. So like, what did it feel like when you were in there and then, kind of working inside the program?
I find it really pretty interesting what you have done. And that is, you are, because you have the experience of being a teacher, and like you say, your experience on both sides of the table. So you have brought in IEP coaches who have various experiences, whether they be a teacher, physical therapist, occupational therapist, speech therapist. So it's very interesting, because that way, as a Master IEP coach, you're coming in from one point of view. When you get into that mentorship, you see all the various people who have all had different aspects at the table, all different thoughts and all different, issues with parents. And, I think it also helps, for the parent, and I'm a parent as well, how they feel and how my clients feel. And it's another viewpoint for that physical therapist to say, oh, yeah, I'm kind of getting that, I'm getting where they're coming from too. So it's a great area for people to share information and expertise, but I think it's also a great area where people share their own personal viewpoints, and maybe diminishes some of the adversarial behaviors in the meeting, I would hope.
I would hope so too. And that's where, I use that term collective knowledge, right? Our collective knowledge, right. But maybe I need to add in there too, our collective viewpoints that are inside of the mentorship and the network. See, the other organizations that are often promoting traditional advocacy type programs, there's many of them that will not let you in if you are an employee of the school district.
Yes.
And I'm thinking those are the people we need. We
Absolutely.
need them to come in, and we need to break. Like, if we can't have the open conversation at the IEP table, which we know it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and there are a lot of thoughts that are never said at an IEP table because of just who's on the payroll and what's the history and all of those things in there. But it's like, if we can have these open conversations away from the IEP table, it's truly creating, this momentum that's moving forward and trickling out there into the IEP meeting. So, parents, teachers, therapists, admins, those are always the four that I list. I said, you are all welcome in here, because the tools that we use, I am not going to give a tool to a parent and say, go take this and throw a teacher under the bus. And I'm not going to take this to the teacher and say, go make the parent, understand this piece. It's about, there's one tool. And you have to do it together when it comes to a parent input statement. There's one tool, and you can do it together for asking the 10 most important questions at the IEP table. So I love that you brought that up. That's been a common theme, and that's awesome. Kind of, I'm kind of on the outside. You guys are in the trenches, and I'm there teaching and working with you guys. So to hear what you guys are pulling out of it is so amazing. If you had somebody who, has that experience as a mom, and she, in the special education, world, and she's thinking like, I don't know, like, I'm just a mom. I don't know. Should I really invest in this? Can I really make a business out of this? Would people really pay me? I'm just a mom sitting at home in my yoga pants with my Starbucks, and, and I'm multitasking and doing dishes and while I'm learning. Are people really gonna look to me as the go-to person? Can you give some words of wisdom to that person who's listening right now?
Well, it's a very legitimate question. And I think that I've said to my parents many times too, I find it intriguing and amazing when I see, especially moms who come to me, and I see what their issues are, and I find that they don't have background at all in education or anything like that, yet they have amazing intuition about the needs of their child. And I'm not just saying that. All the time, they see things that are not seen, and then sometimes maybe they're seen and denied, I don't know. And I tell them all the time, you are your child's best advocate. You know what that child needs. And it's I wish I could think of an example right now, but in my little niche as well, the things that they see are very impressive. So take that information and say, oh yes, you are certainly capable. I am one of you. My background is an RN. I was a pediatric nurse for a long time. And by the time I had my fourth child, I was a so-called older mom. So I had a lot to face, and I didn't know anything, and he was my impetus to get into this. And I did that. So if I can do that, you can do that too, if you have the passion to go forward and not only support. And sometimes, if you want to just support your child, that's okay too. Right. But you can do both. You can definitely do both. And, I also question that too. Like, who's going to pay me for this? They're going to just Google stuff, and, why do they need me? Right. But if you become someone who is knowledgeable about that particular area and you speak to that, you are speaking with good information, and, you begin to have a proven record of being able to deal with certain issues, at the table. And again, another huge deal again is that you're speaking as a collaborative person at the table. You are not just speaking as some, and they're not all like this, I'm not, but you're not speaking as some miserable advocate who's charging a ton of money and just reiterating the law. You want the school to know you're there for that child, you're there for that parent, you're not there to yell, you're there to go over data. And I've said that to my parents many times. Nobody can argue with data. No matter how upset you are right now, we need objective data to move forward, and they cannot change that.
And that doesn't need to be a complicated process. No. That's one of the things that I love when I have special needs moms come in. Now, I'm a special needs sibling, which means obviously I have a mom who was just a special needs mom, right? And she didn't have formal education beyond high school. And gosh darn it, she got my brother into a private therapeutic day school in the education that he needed in the 80s. And so, I've been living this life and watching, moms be the rock stars. And it doesn't have to be a miserable experience. So, when I say that and I share that history of, growing up with one of just the moms, it was a miserable experience for her. And that's one of the reasons I became a teacher, because I was like, oh, I'm just going to make it all better, right? Like, I'm just going to make it. But then you have to see all those perspectives around the table to make it all better. So I want all the special needs moms that think that, who would pay me, or can I really become an expert? Yes, you absolutely can. You can learn things like how to ask for data, and those nights that you wasted, or you feel like you wasted, they weren't, but you feel like you wasted, like laying awake or down the rabbit hole of the blogs and the books trying to figure out what data is. Just come in, let us teach you what you need to look at for your specific situation in there, and let us save you a ton of time. And then you do that for somebody else. You help them save a ton of time, and that makes you a valuable resource for them, because what special needs parent has hours and hours and hours to spend on YouTube and blogs and Facebook and the ridiculous support groups that are out there online where everybody's bickering back and forth. Like, we can take all that away inside. So I just want to thank you, Karen, for being here. I want to encourage everybody that if you have questions specifically for Karen, and specific to her story, her journey as a Master IEP coach, her work in the ADHD community, please reach out, put your comments below, send me an email at clientcare@catherinewhitcher.com. Or you can hop on over to catherinewhitcher.com, and there's a ask me a question. Just send that in. I'll make sure that Karen gets that, because she truly is the expert in this area of making it all work together. And Karen, I love watching your work. You have been established for a little while, and you have your outreach nailed. And I love how you are so supportive on all of your social media pages and just out there working. So thank you for the work that you're doing inside of our community.
Oh, I love it. It's a passion of mine. And I think that passion many times grows out of having someone in your family or your child. That's how it grows in many of our cases. And I think that's what's happened. And, went through a whole big journey with him. And now he's in his 5th year of high school, or college, and will graduate. And he still says, I hate school. I said, yes, dear, I know you do.
Yeah.
He's going to graduate. And it's a true miracle. It's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of an incredible amount of persistence. But again, the parents I see, they have that. They have that intuition, and they have that perseverance, and they can make that difference. And they can make it for themselves as well as the other community around them as well.
I love it. I love your story, and I cannot wait to hear the next chapter of what your son's going to be doing, and the next chapter of your growth and impact in our community as a Master IEP coach. So Karen, thanks for being here, and everybody else, don't forget, you can reach out to us and get connected, and we will answer all of your questions about the Master IEP Coach mentorship and connecting with Karen. Bye.
Thanks, Catherine.